I am the malevolent, degenerate delegate. Swear it's that. No introduction needed with that one, guys. A personal favourite. What a week it was last week. Oh my goodness. We had the longly anticipated drop and premiere of Starry Night, Vincent's Tale. We will get into that. This is going to be an intense special episode of Nat's Chats on Wildcard Thursday because we have a lot to get into. We have to discuss your comments and my thoughts on this amazing masterpiece, perhaps one of the darkest tales Ren has done to date. And of course, the launch, which was magnificent. I mean, I've never seen another artist do a launch in this way and just present his work in just such a... It just gave so much context for us going into the tale. And I really do believe that if we'd not witnessed the first, second, and third night to build us up to that, we may have seen and kind of listened to Starry Night with a completely different set of eyes. So I really appreciate that choice. And I mean, I can't even wait for the next tale, guys. I couldn't believe it when it said to be continued, but we've got that and a lot more to get into. We are going to touch really quickly also on the third night because I did do a little bit of a Nat's Chats to lead up as a segue to those videos as I covered the live launches, and we did miss out the third night, and I think that we just got to speak about it because, well, I feel as though there's massive Easter eggs in there into perhaps Vincent's end and maybe the ending and connection of all these tales. So one of my favourite things about the kind of first few scenes of the third night was this amazing rap song, and I don't know what it's called, but I really do feel as though now I've kind of picked apart that I couldn't really find the lyrics online, so I've just kind of listened to it a few times. First of all, the imagery, I loved the way that he had kind of his arms out and he was in the middle of this room and it seemed as though there was like beds full of inmates. And, you know, it was very dark, it flashed red, it kind of gave me a bit of, you know, it was very, very a dark feel to that. But if you actually listen to the lyrics that Ren is singing during this song, I feel as though he really is setting up the scene, not only for Starry Night, but I feel as though there's a lot of Easter eggs in this. I really do. I feel as though maybe it's like he's like subtly giving us a hint as to what the ending of Vincent's Tale could be. I really, really do, guys. So one of the lyrics in there that I did pick up on the first watch, I just wanted to touch on is the smartest in the room doesn't mean the sharpest, because the smart can be dumb when the brain is heartless. And I think really he's talking about the system, he's talking about the medical field particularly. And then as he goes on, he's actually talking a lot about this idea that we have authority, we have these scientists, and just because they are saying that a treatment or a vaccination is, you know, it works and it's proven, doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, and it's a way of controlling us. And my mind went straight to the debacle that was COVID, of course. So I'll leave it at that, but you know what I'm talking about there, guys. And he says, with my gun-like tongue as well during this song, and I just feel as though for him, that is his weapon, isn't it? That is his way of fighting back. It is through his music and is through his rap styles and everything that he brings. And again, he is using his platform just to awaken people, which is a massive theme when it comes to Starry Night in particular. So with phase one trial, never got respect, shit hit the market, and then he's talking about body bags as well. So it just seems as though even the scientists and even people in the medical field that are creating these pills and these treatments, they actually really don't know what they're dealing with, and they don't know those long-term effects. So this fits in beautifully with the ending of Starry Night, of course. So sick of a big pharma rep looking for a paycheck. It's this idea of all money, money, money. I will be exploring the money games very, very soon as well, because I know that kind of ties in a little bit to this theme. So I'm very excited about that. And then we've got this like random, is it Johnson Thunder character where he's got the long hair, which I thought was hilarious. And so he comes on the scene and it's all about this revenge. And we have Sarah Blaze, and because it was written by a man, she has no survival skills, which I had a bit of a chuckle about, to be quite honest with you. I think that like in this day and age, we are getting a little bit better at that and understanding that, you know, us women, we do have brains and we can obviously survive. And especially in a world where there's a lot of these gentlemen that are being created just to kind of go along with the, you know, the general trend of things and not really be outspoken. I feel as though even for me, like I do martial arts and things like that. I feel as though I'm doing a lot of masculine things, because the art of feeling protected and feeling safe as a woman is kind of gone away with all these other things as well. I don't understand why he's put revenge in there. So is it revenge against Vincent, Or is it revenge against the system? Is Vincent going to be the person that's taking the revenge? I feel as though it was in there for a reason. I think we're definitely going to explore this idea of revenge in the next tale because of this piece. And then we have, oh my goodness, the wildest, craziest show, Lobotomy or Life. Creepy just for many reasons, but also the fact that it seems as though they're giving the public control of really who walks free, and they're giving the public what they want, which is really sadistic to think that they want something so dark and so deep. I mean, especially it's one thing with the mind, but this idea of the body and messing around with the body as well, like physically making a change, is just terrifying. When the first night came around, I was literally like, there is no way, especially with the media storm and everything, which took a complete direction. I was not expecting that. I mean, Vincent could not have possibly chosen the worst person to unalive that night. I'm thinking there's just, it's only going to end bad for Vincent. He's going to be in jail forever. That's it. It's end of. Like, it's end game at this point. So I didn't really see where the story was going to go. I feel as though Ren and his team have put this as a lifeline. The Lobotomy or Life. The fact there's 3 contestants, they said one of them gets a lobotomy, whatever the hell that is. We don't really know. I don't even think they really know. One of them gets to just stay basically behind bars. And then one of them gets to walk free. I think that is Vincent's out. I'm positive of it, because otherwise, why would it be there? It makes no sense. I feel as though he's going to walk free. And then we have this Kenny character who is like the dude that's on, like, the inmate under disguise, which I believe is Kai, which is hilarious. I think that he is sent in there, and during those interactions with Vincent, I think he's going to realise that Vincent's been through a lot, and actually his heart is pure, his heart is good. He just made some really bad decisions and choices based on his circumstances. And again, not to defend exactly what is done, but I feel as though they're going to have a connection at some point. He's going to report back, and then, you know, the audience are going to vote for him to be free. Now, as for these other 2 inmates, I don't know if we're going to go into their stories at all. That's part of the 3, you know, the 3 contestants, and I really don't know what this lobotomy is going to bring. I have no idea, guys, but I really do feel as though Kenny will be the secret also for Vincent's out. I feel as though Vincent is going to be set free, and I feel as though when he is released, he's going to be a very valuable member of society through this experience. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. The TVs we have to talk about too, because not only is he showing the distraction, but I think we might have gone a little bit from the lights and the lamps and the light bulbs, which are massively symbolic in all of, you know, all the material that I have seen from Ren so far with his songs and his music videos, that usually they'll flicker if there's like something dark coming, there's something negative, there's something challenging, it's a struggle. I think that is depicted with, you know, the TV screens kind of the go static, and they kind of lose the picture. I think that in this situation, because of the distraction of social media and this idea of making everyone compliant and just keeping them in the daily routines, I think the TV resembles that. So I think every time that it goes in static, it's kind of, oh, what's to come? It's going to be quite dark, and it does have quite a dark, like, meaning. So we really need to get into one of the most, in this particular night, one of the most impactful, emotionally charged scenes, which was just when Vincent's in his cell by himself. And we have this amazing classical piece that I believe is from The Tale of Jenny and Screech on the piano. Oh my goodness, yes. I could feel every single emotion that Vincent was going through at that point. It was, honestly, I felt like it was a very intimate moment in this particular night, because we were brought into his jail cell, and I just felt as though I was like, I could feel his soul. We went through so many different emotions there. So from my friend, actually, hello Stuart, at Stuart_George, loads of people, myself included, love the piano throwbacks to the tales that Ren has responded. And Ren has responded by saying that he's going to try and release them on Spotify and Bandcamp. Yes, just all these different emotions was really captured in that piece, and I just so appreciated it. And then especially when this other inmate comes in, I think it's one of the first times that we really see that Vincent, he seems quite calm and down to earth. And I just love the fact that there was a connection there. And almost like Vincent, even though he's going through his own turmoil, he was actually offering a lot of comfort to this other inmate that, had had like the family picture, the picture of the girlfriend taken away. And I think that speaks a lot. That's being done intentionally to show Vincent's character. The fact is, in my opinion, is like Vincent's not a bad guy. He just came from a set of circumstances that he didn't know how to deal with, wasn't provided the tools, and made some really bad decisions. It doesn't necessarily mean that, he can't be rehabilitated, not through a lobotomy, but through enlightenment and really figuring all this out. It doesn't necessarily mean that he can't change his choices in the future. And I do believe that Vincent is somebody who is quite compassionate, and we saw that in this scene. So I think that was they've made that choice to show us his actual character away from the chaos of what happened that evening. Let's get back to Percy. Oh my goodness. And that's the thing too. Like, I do sometimes think, am I one of them? Am I just not enlightened? Because in the first night, I actually loved Percy. I thought it was amazing. Obviously, part of that is the fact that I'd never seen Ren play just such I don't even know what you call it, guys, like a eccentric kind of dorky character. And I really liked to see him exploring that side of his like artistry and acting, really. But this is from Jason Marshall 7572. I believe the scientist doctor character works for the same company under investigation that is run by the father of the man Vincent killed. So if we just backtrack to the beginning of the third night, when we have this Johnson Thunder, and the idea of the kind of plot line for this is revenge and survival. Is this just going to make the situation worse? If this is true, which I think you could be onto something here, the fact that he does work for the Lockridges, and the Lockridges really just seem to have control in everything. Is things going to just turn negative for Vincent from the get-go? Like, does he even stand a chance? Is this their opportunity to really take revenge? And, it's like the other inmate said as well. They make you feel as though you're nothing, and, they've already paid the price. Like, they've had the freedom taken away and they're in prison. So really, how worse can it get? What do you want a human being to go through to feel satisfied when it comes to revenge? So this is very worrying for me, especially going into the next tale. But I think that it's important to look at all different ideas when it comes to Percy and exactly why is he there and who's put him there. So I really did appreciate this. It kind of opened my mind a little bit. Yeah, so that is what I feel. I just feel as though there are so many clues in the third night that will set us up for Vincent's end. So before we go, I really wanted to touch on some other paintings that could be potentially featured in the next tale, okay? So this one struck me. It's called Irises, okay? I'll give you a little bit of background about this particular painting and why I think that we could be on the money with this one being incorporated into the next one or two tales. I mean, I don't know how Ren's going to do it. So Irises it was created in 1889. It's one of Vincent Van Gogh's most famous and beloved works, celebrated for its vibrant colours and intricate details. And it was also painted in a particularly turbulent period when he was staying at the asylum in Saint Remy that we mentioned before. So many art historians see irises as a symbol of renewal and hope, because Van Gogh was struggling with his mental health, but the vivid, blooming flowers can be interpreted as a sign of strength and vitality in the face of personal challenges. And it also has this idea of healing power of nature. So Van Gogh often spoke about how the natural world was a source of healing for him. Where he got the inspiration for this painting was, he was allowed outside at certain points during his stay. And the first time that he walked outside, he saw a bed of irises, and it really just stoked this inspiration to paint this because it was just so beautiful, and it was very a positive kind of symbol during his struggles. If we actually go back to the first night, I did pick up on some purpley flowers in the middle of the table, on the Britannia talk show, and I don't know, they just kind of seemed a bit out of place. I was like, well, why are they there? It's these purpley kind of flowers. I don't understand why they're front and centre. I'm just going to flip to another picture of these that is a little bit more of a close-up for you guys. And I actually thought at first it was lavender, but could this be an Easter egg, guys? Could this be irises? And could this be an Easter egg for the next tale? I don't know. You guys need to let me know in the comments. You be the judge. But yeah, I just found this very, I don't know why. I just don't know why they were there, to be quite honest with you. And they just seemed to come in and out of focus throughout that first night. So very interesting. And I don't know, it could be a clue. Could be a clue into the next tale. The next one we have, because we kind of keep in this theme of florals, is Almond Blossom in 1890. So it's one of Vincent Van Gogh's most beloved paintings, symbolising new life, renewal and hope. It was created during one of the most poignant periods of his life and stands as a testament to his emotions and his emotional resilience, also his appreciation for the beauty of nature. It was actually painted as a gift for his brother Theo, who had recently had a son called Vincent William Van Gogh, named after the artist, which I found quite special, and the painting was meant as a celebration of the birth of his nephew. The almond blossoms are often associated with new beginnings and fresh starts. During the time he painted this, he was experiencing massive personal struggles, but despite his ongoing challenges, this work is full of light and vitality, as you will see in the brushstrokes. The fresh bright colours and the depiction of a tree in bloom reflect Van Gogh's desire for a brighter future. So that could be very, very reflective of Vincent's idea here during his next tale. I'm not entirely sure, guys. So this one is the Potato Eaters. It was painted in 1885, and it was really, Van Gogh had gone through this time where he was going to different towns and he wanted to paint peasant life, which was driven by kind of a combination of personal sympathy and social awareness. So anyway, he'd spent time working in these various towns. He was exposed to very, very poor and dire conditions of rural poverty, and he kind of felt a very strong connection to these peasants, particularly their hard work and simple, humble existence. So this does reflect his desire to give voice to those who were often overlooked in society. Again, we have this idea of hierarchy, the rich versus the poor, especially with everything that Starry Night's got to bring. So could this be featured in the next tale? You be the judge, guys. So this painting is actually called the Yellow House because it is an actual house. It doesn't exist to date, but back then, Vincent Van Gogh, he actually moved there in 1888. And it became a very important location for him to explore not only his life, but his artistic journey. It was kind of his home and his studio at the same time. His vision was that he wanted other artists to join him there. There was an artist called Paul that did do that, but they had many disagreements and they kind of had a fight, and that just ended. So that was very challenging for Van Gogh because it kind of squashed his idea of this collaboration. So the Yellow House is a symbol. It symbolises Van Gogh's hopes for stability and a new beginning. However, it actually did become a place of increased emotional strain, and he actually experienced a mental breakdown there in December of 1888, and there was this very, very famous incident between him and this artist Paul where he cut off part of his own ear after an argument. Yes. So it was a bit of a tough place for him there. It did not really work out the way that he wanted it to be. However, the Yellow House is kind of a metaphor for a place of creation and destruction with these themes. So the final painting we're going to discuss today, and I've mentioned it in the previous Nats Charts and prediction, is Wheatfield with Crows. So this was considered one of Van Gogh's final paintings, final pieces of work. And the symbolism and interpretation really is this idea of impending darkness, death and doom. So many historians really do see this as an expression of Van Gogh's mental state in his final weeks of life. The dark stormy sky and the chaotic crows have often been interpreted as symbols of impending doom and the artist's own sense of mortality. So there is quite a stark contrast between the vibrant wheat and the ominous sky, which also suggests kind of Van Gogh's inner conflict during that time and emotional turbulence. The wide expansiveness of the field and the fact that there's no human figures there as well stokes this idea of isolation and alienation that he felt, kind of the loneliness and detachment that Van Gogh himself felt about the world around him. So which painting, if any of these, is going to be featured in the next tale? Has to be one of them. Don't know if it's one of these 5, but what do you guys think? Put your ideas in the comments below. I did also want to talk a little bit about my predictions and theories for the next tale, which, I mean, if we could possibly predict what Ren has got up his sleeve, I have no idea. I don't even think he really knows, like he said in the interview with Knox, that he really does. He has a few ideas for the ending. So my mind goes to, are we going to get a Percy tale? Because again, it comes back to this idea of, is everybody a hero in their own story? Maybe Percy thinks what he's doing even though we know that it's very, very evil and he's really got the wrong end of the stick with this and it's like really terrible, maybe he thinks that he is the hero. Maybe he thinks this is going to be a positive step towards the future of mankind. So it would be really interesting to explore Percy's mindset and a little bit of where he comes from to understand what kind of character he is today and why he's doing these things. So that's where my mind goes to. The other wild kind of scenario too was this idea of the game show Lobotomy or Life. What if Ren actually had 3 different endings? And so instead of the audience in the particular launch, the short film of the launch material, they're saying, you get to vote who walks free. Maybe we get to vote on who walks free. Maybe he incorporates the renegades in some bizarre way and he does 3 different endings or 3 different tales, and maybe he gives us the control to actually see what the outcome is going to be for these characters. Do we also explore the other 2 contestants that we don't know who they are? Do we also explore their stories and their background? I'm not entirely sure about that, because we've already got, Vincent, he is, as much as he is a criminal, he's also a victim, and we kind of know that, so I'm not entirely sure about that either. But I definitely think if there's going to be a new character that's introduced, it would be Percy. But how cool would that be if you actually gave the Renegades the choice on how the story goes? And So It Goes is new tattoo. So I'm going to leave you with that idea.